What up, you guys? Empress of Duality here. For those of you that are new or might not know, my name is Brooke. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to the Love Vibe Tribe. My subscribers, my Love Vibe Tribe, you know how much I love and appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the abundance that you bring into my life. We're going to have a conscious conversation today, tribe. Conscious conversation about attachments and projections. And funny, what's up, Amy? I actually got this channeling because of one of my beautiful soul sisters in the chat today. So me and my consciousness, my higher self, right? My guides. We've been going over this thing called attachments for a few weeks now. A lot of information when it comes to attachments. And I've also learned in the past few weeks that Amy, no way. I also feel like in the past few weeks I've learned that attachments go hand in hand with projections. Oh, projections, man. If we only knew how powerful we are, how powerful our projections are, we might really pay more attention to the way that we think about people, to the way that we perceive ourselves and others and our circumstances, because projection can be a very powerful thing, you guys. What up, everybody in the chat? Hello, Maria. What's up, Mike? David, hello, brother. What's up, babe? So, what's up, Christina? So there is a lot of energy. There's just, as I've been like sitting with my consciousness to come up here and talk about this, like I can just feel that there's a lot of distortion energy around this topic. And whenever like a leader or someone, you know, that wants to share their drop-ins, their downloads, like as a leader, when you show up to share information, the distortions don't really like that. And what do I mean by the distortions don't like that? Like the lower vibrational energies, the lower vibrational entities that feed off of our distortion energy, right? And there's a lot of energy around this subject. So if everybody in the chat, if y'all are just gonna kick back and chill with me for a little bit tonight, I would like to ask you guys to just step into this container with me. If you can envision a circle around this container, keeping it purified of inorganic frequencies, commanding all lower vibrational energies and entities to step the fuck out this space. You cannot be here, be gone. And thank you, you guys. You just don't understand how much I appreciate you guys showing up for me, you guys holding space for me. There's something I want to tell you as like a leader, you know, as a twin flame in union, as a living guide. When you guys show up for me in unconditional love, without projecting any judgments onto me, without, you know, let's just keep it there, without projecting any energy onto me, you know, when y'all just hold space in love with me, it's really powerful. And I just want to acknowledge and appreciate you beautiful fucking souls, because it really does help me hold this energy. It helps me hold this space. It helps me be that clear channel, because not only is my light keeping the distortions at bay, but when you guys come together with me in this space, we're impenetrable, baby. We can't be touched. You feel me? So I love you guys, and thank you for that. Ooh, it's getting hot in here already, y'all. So, okay. Attachments and projections. You know, this is something I especially want to point out for the twin flames, because we got to start being more conscious and aware of the energy that we're just fucking tossing around, man. Because we don't realize how much it really does affect people. We don't realize how powerful we are. We don't realize how powerful our minds, thoughts are, our emotions are. And like, it's so easy for somebody to like piss you off or step on your toes a little bit. And then boom, like without saying anything, maybe we get pissed off in our mind and we're like, you know what, you can like go suck a dick, like fuck you, you know what I mean? But it's not coming from a place of being neutral, like go fuck yourself. It's coming from a place of like anger or resentment or judgment, and like you can literally attack people that way, you guys. Like it's like giving an energetic ass whooping, if you want to go there. That's how spirit shows it to me, that like when you're projecting that kind of energy, that kind of judgment onto somebody, when you're so attached to your own perspective that you're not open to receive other people, and like you're just like judging what they're saying, not receiving what they're saying, it's an energetic ass whooping for the other person. And when you get to be in union with your twin flame, you get to see just how powerful your thoughts and perception and emotions are. So with that being said, hi Elizabeth, what's up, love? Yeah, okay. So, where do we want to start? And like, I want to go ahead and tell you guys, there is so much that I could go in on when it comes to attachments and projections. But just for the sake of this video, 9/11 right now, you know what that means to me? Urgency within the spirit. I'm telling you, these are about to be some powerful fucking messages. I'm so excited. What up, Jess? Aries Fairy, good to see you, love. So, there is so many ways that I could go into this energy. There's so many things that I could share with you guys, but like I'm gonna kind of keep it, I can't go everywhere, you know what I mean? So I think I want to start off with like what is an attachment, okay? You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck is an attachment? We hear about attachments within the spiritual community all the time, right? So I kind of want to shed a little bit of light on what an attachment is. The attachment is a program of the ego. It's not real. Attachments aren't real. You know what I mean? It's just an experience that the ego creates from programming and programmed emotional responses, right? And on a soul level, we don't attach to people's energy. We're free flowing. We're neutral, which is more of like a surrendering energy, a flow energy, whereas an attachment is like a controlling energy. Okay? So that's the first thing I want you guys to know, is attachments are egoic. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, because like, and here's the thing, you guys, attachments can follow you. If you don't become aware of your attachments, like you can even, your physical body can die. And even in like the astral realm, if you still have those attachments, if you're so attached to your identity, so attached to your personality, so attached to the unfinished business, like the ego is still a part of that reality. And like attachments are powerful. And even like if your body dies and you hold on to those strong attachments, like it can still play out in the spiritual realm until you are willing to forgive, until you are willing to surrender. Okay? So I just want to let y'all know how powerful an attachment can be. So there was something else I wanted to say. Attachments. Attachments are what drain us of our life force energy. It doesn't have to be an attachment that's external. We can have internal attachments to our inner dialogue. We can have internal attachments to our emotions. We can have internal attachments to our ideas about our twin, our perception about our twin, and like, when you're feeding an attachment that is an inorganic frequency, it isn't real, it only exists in the stories in your mind. When you're feeding that energy, You're giving away your purity and your life force energy to an energy that doesn't even exist, besides you creating it, right? The stories, the emotions create the attachment. And y'all have to give me a second. Like I said, there's a lot of energy around this, so y'all just keep holding space for me. I'm gonna keep tapping in. I'm gonna keep flowing with these messages. So, attachments, you guys. Maybe this will change, but I feel like it's not. An attachment is never a serving thing. I mean, I guess it can be at times. There's a duality to it, right? It can serve you in some ways, but if you have an attachment, if you have a codependency on something or someone, even on an idea, a perception, you're attached to a perception, you're attached to an identity. You know, if you hold that attachment, like, or that codependency in a way, and then it actually turns into an energetic attachment, that's just not a good thing. It's just not. So attachments, no, right? So let's go in a little bit to the journey of attachments, the awakening to attachments. And let me tell y'all something else. Attachments, being a soul that incarnated to addiction grids, let me tell y'all something. Attachments, basically you can look at it as attachment as codependency. So obviously there are different levels of codependency, so there are different levels of attachment, right? But as a soul that incarnated into the addiction grids, like when you have an attachment like that, you're locked and looping in addiction grids, like, damn it, I'm having a really hard time holding onto this channel. Help me, people. All right. So, for those of you that might not understand what I'm going through, I want to tell you a little bit why it's hard to keep this channel open. Because there are lower vibrational beings, lower vibrational entities, because those energies do exist, they like to try to get in the way when someone is speaking truth, when someone is showing up to empower you, okay? Because if I empower all of you guys with these truths, then these lower vibrational entities and energies, they cease to exist, right? So that's why, like, that's what happens sometimes as a leader, right? But I just wanted to let y'all into that a little bit so that you know kind of what's happening. Okay. Oh, thank God Sandra and Alan are here. I'm going to get to that, Amy. I have tons of examples. I'm just trying to, like, really secure the channel right now. And I'm so excited Sandra and Alan showed up. Thank God. Okay, so when it comes to the journey of attachments, you guys, the attachments of, there is a journey. Like, it really is a journey. We all have that period in our journey where we're learning what attachments are, how they affect us, the energies that they invoke that they invite right into our consciousness, into our thoughts, into our emotions, into our behaviors, right? Like, you ever met someone and then they all of a sudden, like, God damn it! I'm about to go into my divine masculine energy and fucking pop off in just a second. So, with kind of the foundation work to what attachments are, right? They're draining. They are the inversion of love, right? They take your energy, they attract lower vibrational energies, they drop programs in your mind, they influence negative emotional responses. Attachment is all a part of the ego, okay? So let me add this real quick. When your ego starts to die, when you start to have that ego death, when you're killing off the old part of yourself, when it comes to an attachment, this is how you can identify that you have some attachment to your ego. When your insecurities are triggered, your ego is triggered, and you're trying to surrender, but it just feels like if you keep surrendering, you're literally going to die. Like, it's almost like a full-blown panic mode, right? When the ego is triggered, when the ego is dying, when you're in that like moment of breakthrough, like the breakdown before the breakthrough. The breakdown is just like the ego holding on for dear life, putting thoughts in your head that are making you afraid to let go of the identity, let go of the emotion, let go of the perception. There's that moment right before the breakthrough, right before you surrender the ego, where it's like full-blown panic mode. Or like your consciousness, it almost feels like you. That's the thing with ego. It feels like you for a second until you learn to detach, right? The art of detaching from the ego. But I just want you guys to know, like in that moment, like before you're about to break through from the ego, it does feel like you might like die, or like you're completely full-blown triggered, and it's really intense. And it's intense for a reason, because the ego is throwing everything at you to remain attached to your energy. But if you can just keep surrendering the thoughts, the fear, insecurities, the thoughts about you're gonna die, like if you can keep surrendering all of that, then there's like this beautiful moment of like purification. And then you can see the ego because you detach from it. But you have to make the conscious choice to like let it go, right? So to give you an example of how an attachment plays out within a twin flame journey. And like I said, thank you to one of my beautiful soul sisters that triggered this download that came through today. So first off, they want me to start with how can you identify an attachment? Because some of us, like, we're a little new to releasing attachments, because to be completely honest, the way that we're raised, like, we're just like born into attachments being a natural thing, right? So it takes a lot of deprogramming to let go of our codependent nature, codependent conditioning, okay? So a few different ways that you can identify if you have an attachment is if you are someone, we're going to talk about twin flames just to make this easier for me, because like I said, I can go in so many different ways with so many different examples, but I'm going to just like keep it in the realm of twin flames, the twin flame journey. So like how you can recognize an attachment on the twin flame journey is, let's say you're in separation from your twin, okay? Separation, no communication. That's where you are in your twin flame journey. And we all go through this period of like seeking validation that we're on the twin flame journey, seeking validation that this person, this specific person is our twin flame, seeking validation through the label itself of twin flame and twin flame journey. We put that label on someone and it validates how we feel. It validates the journey that we're on, right? That seeking energy, seeking something outside of you to validate how you're feeling, to validate what your heart already knows to be true, right? So that's a sign of an attachment. What's another way to identify an attachment? If you are attached to your twin, is seeking acceptance. So this is where the whole I'm right, you're wrong bullshit comes in, right? I'm right, you're wrong, I'm right, you're wrong. This is where we start to challenge the ego and our insecurities get brought to the surface. Our lack of self-worth gets brought to the surface, right? And like we're seeking from our twin to to and here's the thing, so I'm gonna give you an example. Divine feminines, and me too, okay? It's just for a lot of divine feminines, I know that y'all experience this on the journey, where it's like you've got all these thoughts about your twin going in your head. You got all of these confused, mixed emotions about your twin. You're wondering how they feel about you. You're wondering, you know, if they want to be with you. You're wondering like what their perception is, where you stand with them, right? And instead of just like asking, going into your masculine energy and just like voicing these things that are on your mind and that are weighing on your heart, like we won't say anything and we're just like seeking, waiting for them to like validate it all for us, right? We're looking for them to make us feel better about our own insecurities. Maybe we're doubting. We're doubting whether they really have feelings for us. We're doubting whether they really love us to begin with. And we're looking and seeking for that acceptance. I'm accepted. I am loved. They do want to be with me. They do feel the connection, right? There's that seeking energy again. So another way to identify an attachment is if you are seeking security. Okay, so I mean, a lot of these are the same thing. It's the same core energy, right? It's just a variation of vibration to the frequency. The frequency is attachment. The frequency is codependence. But there are different variations in vibration of that frequency. Okay, so that's why I'm going through a few of these so that you can identify them on your journey and empower yourself. Because the whole thing about attachment is it strips you from your power. When you are attached to something, when you're seeking validation, when you're codependent on someone, validating you, accepting you, giving you security, then you're giving your power away, right? So that's why I'm really showing up with these messages today, so that you can identify these things and take your motherfucking power back, okay? So, seeking security is another one. Seeking control, trying to maintain control. And I'll show you in just a second how all of this energy plays into projections, okay? Another way to identify an attachment is if you are always trying, seeking. If you're using the word trying, looking for, seeking, waiting for, you have an attachment. That was straight from spirit. If you use those words, I'm trying to fix, I'm trying to save, I'm trying to help, I'm looking for answers, I'm trying to understand, maybe that's an attachment. And once you detach from all this trying energy, all this chasing energy, when you detach from the ego, then the path becomes clear, right? Then you can validate self. Then you take your power back, right? But if you're always seeking for something, then you're always giving your power away. So, I need y'all to give me just a second. I'll be like right back. Okay. Give me 2 seconds. Here, look. I'll even put a kitty right here, so y'all can just look at the cat for a second. Okay. That's a good kid. That is good. You keep all mommy's friends entertained. That's a good kid. Thank you. All right, now go back over here. Thank you very much. All right, my bad, you guys. And I'm probably going to do this video again, but this is like my practice, right? Okay, so Thanks, babe. So, okay. Let's continue. How are attachments and projections hand in hand? Okay? Remember, an attachment is the ego. The soul does not attach. Okay? It's the ego. Thank you, Amy. So, now how does projections play into attachments? So again, what is an attachment? An attachment is the ego. What is a projection? Okay, a projection is an energy that is being projected outward. So you can have a distortion energy and project that outward. You can have, stand in your truth, stand in your power and project that outward, okay? But here's the tricky part with projections. A lot of us are projecting from our attachments, okay? So, and remembering how an attachment shows up. An attachment shows up as control. It shows up as trying to maintain control. It shows up as codependency. It shows up as seeking, right? Okay? So understanding that and how that plays into a projection is an attachment is a distorted energy, right? It's not full presence with the truth. It is outside of the truth. It is a projection of the truth. Like, here's the truth. Here's the story about the truth, right? Here's your sovereignty. Here's neutrality. Here's a projected story about the truth. It's not the truth. It is not in totality to the truth, right? It is a projection of the truth. So all truths are half truths. How does that make you feel? So when it comes to projections, the journey of attachments and projections, eventually you will evolve your consciousness to allow a state of flow, a state of surrender. And what does a state mean? A state of being, not trying, okay? Notice when you're saying trying, tribe, I'm trying. When maybe you should stop trying and start being. I feel like I sound like Lee right now, but it's the truth. So eventually we do evolve our consciousness to embody a state of flow, a state of being in flow, being in surrender. And if you are projecting from an attachment, there's a push and pull aspect, twins. You're projecting onto your twin from an attachment, from a distortion, from a lack of presence, from an energy of trying to control, an energy of trying to manipulate, seeking validation, seeking acceptance, seeking security, right? Trying to save, trying to fix. If you're projecting from there onto your twin, it's so powerful on your twin, man, especially if they're not evolved enough in their own consciousness, if they don't have a consistency in tapping into who they are, tapping into their heart, tapping into neutrality and clearing their energy. Like, if you're projecting onto them, it starts to influence their thoughts. And if you're projecting from a space of insecurity, okay, a space of attachment onto them, can you imagine what you're projecting onto them? Can you imagine the way that your energy is influencing them on a mental level, emotional level, behavioral level, right? So for example, if you're judging your twin for, let's say, having sex with someone else, you have a judgment about your twin and how, it's not right that they had sex with someone else. That's not okay. You're projecting that energy onto them. You're projecting that shame onto them, that guilt, that unworthiness, that I'm right, you're wrong, that control, that condition, right? If you're projecting all of that onto them, man, you give them no fucking space, especially if they're not conscious of who they are. And you're projecting all of that onto them. They're a cheater, they're a liar, they're manipulative, they're this, they're that. You're projecting who they are onto them and they don't know who they are. Oh, watch out. Oh, watch out, because they're about to become every little thing that you are attached to for your ego. It's going to manifest, right? So I want to give you a really good example of this energy. And I'm going to go to Facebook real quick because, like I said, one of my beautiful sisters posted in the Twin Flame Revolution community. And we had a really, really good conversation. So my sister, she posed and she says, you know, I'm missing my person right now, talking about her twin, right? She was missing her twin. And what came through when I read that, which, you know, we work with clients, so I've held this awareness for a while now. I just never really had anywhere to direct it. So with our clients and with people that I'm meeting that are on the twin flame journey, what I've noticed is at the very end, when the ego's dying, when you're anchoring in higher frequency, when you're surrendering the ego's control, when you're surrendering the attachment to your twin, right? When you're surrendering, there's this period. This is how you know you're really fucking close to coming into union. Or this is how you know that you're really close to balancing the feminine and masculine within you and moving into neutrality rather than an attachment and codependent energy, projecting energy. So as twin flames, we get to a point in our journey where we've done the inner work. We've gone into our childhood wounds, right? There may be more, but like, we've gone into our childhood wounds. We've identified the limiting self-beliefs, the negative self-talk, the built-up emotions that are connected to our wounds as child. We go into all that shit. We purge it. We heal it. We feel it to heal it. And then there's a point in the journey where that attachment energy is going to show up again. It's going to show up again. And it's like it's like a day of reckoning where it's like, did you really surrender? Did you really tame your ego? Are you going to give your power away this time? Because we do all this healing work and then we have an expectation to see the validation of the work we've done, right? Which is a projection. Or projecting an expectation of, because I did this, I deserve to experience this, rather than being in a state of flow and presence, right? Because if you're in a state of expectation, then if you're in a state of a distortion and projecting an expectation, then you really limit the opportunities that can come to you because you're in a lower vibrational frequency. When you're in an expectation, when you're projecting, when you have an attachment, when you're seeking, trying, looking for validation, you're in a lower vibrational frequency and you're in a lack of presence, right? So if you can detach from all that and step into a state of flow and surrender, then the opportunities that you have attracted can come to you. So I want to communicate that a little bit differently, Spirit. If we hold on to the validation of the inner work and seeing it reflected on the 3D, we're in a lack of presence, right? We're in a lack of flow. We're in a lower vibrational frequency. Now, why is it that we look for that validation? Because we can feel the internal shift that's taken place, but we haven't let go of the attachment yet. We feel the inner work's being done, but there's still debris left over from the wounds. There's still programs in the mind. There's still negative emotional responses that can be triggered by the program. Like the ego takes a little bit more time to neutralize, right? So Like, why we get to this point of like we've done the inner work, but we're not seeing it reflected back to us, because that is showing us that we're still attached to the outcome. We're still attached to an expectation. We're still putting ourselves in a box and saying, if I do this, then I will get this. And that's not flow. That's not surrender. That's not presence. That is giving your fucking power away, you guys. When you say, if I do this, then I can get this, that's saying, I don't have this, so I'm going to do this, so hopefully I get this. And that is not sovereignty. That is not owning your power. That is giving your power away, right? So as a twin flame, we get to this point in our journey where it's like we've done the inner work. We've done the internal healing, but we're not seeing what we want reflected back to us. We're not in union with our twin. We're not in communication with our twin. And throughout my journey, and also through helping others, I've noticed a few things. I've noticed that we get to a point in our journey where the internal healing has taken place, right? But the debris from our wounds play out for a little while. It's not actually like the trauma that's causing the dis-ease, the seeking, the, seeking validation, whatever, all of that shit, the control. It's not our trauma that's causing these things. It's like the ego, right? And we all get to a point where the internal work is done, but the reprogramming and taming the ego is like the last step, right? That's the last step. You heal on an internal level. The 3D takes a little bit more time. The ego takes more time to reprogram. The debris from the wound takes a little time to clean up, right? And so what does it mean to like reprogram and tame the ego? It means no longer accepting the limiting thought forms, the beliefs, no longer going into unserving emotions, going into nostalgia towards your twin, right? Remember how this all started? Was one of my sisters. She was missing her twin, right? And she's at that really pivotal moment where she can choose to remain in her sovereignty, or she can choose to give her power away to the ego, right? And this is like for all of you. We all go through this. And how you tame the ego after you've done the inner work, how you come into your masculine energy, right? We do our inner work through our feminine, right? And then we have to do the ego work through our masculine. What are we doing? Bringing the feminine and the masculine into union. Can't make this shit up, okay? That's what's happening. So what does it mean to, after you've done the inner work, to tame the ego, to clear out the debris from the wounds? It means no longer going into those unserving thoughts about your twin. I miss them. I'm thinking about them. I know that we have beautiful work that's going to take place when we do come together in the 3D, right? And going into like unserving, nostalgic emotions towards them. It means saying no to that. Saying no to the ego. Because here's the thing. The ego evolves with you. So like how we begin to identify the ego is by like negative self-talk and limiting self-beliefs, right? Maybe I'm not worthy of love. My twin's with someone else. Why am I not good enough? And then we're like, okay, I'm going to take my power back from that. I know that I am good enough. I know that I am worthy of love, right? And then the ego evolves with you. I'm telling you, it's a motherfucker. It doesn't want to die. So the ego evolves, and instead of coming in as you're unworthy, it comes in as I miss my twin. I miss my twin. I want to be with my twin. I know we have work to do. And even it can even create positive emotions, a beautiful story where you're like daydreaming and it's like, when me and my twin come together, we're going to do so much healing and so much work on this planet, and it's producing positive emotions. But really, it's a distortion that is controlling you yet again. It's the attachment seeking in yet again, right? So I'm going to explain to you. So like this is the part in the journey where we are surrendering our attachment to our beloved, to our twin. And you can't surrender the attachment without surrendering the stories and the emotions that are connected to the attachment. They created the attachment to begin with, right? And like I know it may sound weird for a healer to tell you that sometimes the healing is not going into these lower emotions. The healing is rising above it, right? Because in the beginning of the journey, we do so much discovering of built up emotions. But when you get to this part in the journey, it actually serves you more to take your power back from these narratives, because it's no longer the wound that is causing these thoughts and emotions. It is simply the ego playing out old programming and triggering old emotional responses, right? So I'm gonna show you how the energy is the same, because I feel like some of you are like, but that's a good thing to look at being in separation as something that's good, and I can look forward to being together with my twin. No, fuck that. That's the ego trying to get you, and I'm going to call the ego out right now, and I'm going to show you how it's the same frequency but a variation in vibration, okay? It's still lack mentality. It's still I don't have. That's what you're saying. That's what you're going into. Even if it's producing a positive emotion of you looking into an illusion that isn't really happening, of you being with your twin and y'all creating this healing work together, like, it's still lack mentality. It's still victim mentality. It's still an attachment. You're still seeking something that you don't have. You're still seeking validation of what you're feeling through a story in your fucking head. You know what I mean? And like, it's just not real, you guys. Like, it's not, and we have to surrender that. We have to surrender the sense of security that the ego gives us and step out of our comfort zone, right? Take our fucking power back. So, how I like to remind myself, twin flames, that if I'm going into nostalgia about my twin, and listen, just because I'm in union doesn't mean that I don't go through layers of this same fucking energy of nostalgia, of lack mentality, victim mentality, releasing attachments, releasing expectations, and really being neutral and in a state of flow and surrender. I still do the same things, you guys. For example, the other night I'm sitting on the couch and my ego gets triggered. You know, I'm going through a rebirth process. I am being challenged to surrender my attachment to my ego. And remember what I said earlier. What happens when the ego is being detached? What happens when you're surrendering the ego, surrendering your pride, surrendering the stories, and embracing full presence with feeling, right? You go into panic mode. You think that it's you. You get afraid. So we want to abandon, right? Because it's uncharted territory. I'm feeling anxious. I'm in panic mode. I'm scared of the outcome, right? We want to run away. But the other day I'm sitting on the couch and like, my ego was triggered. I was surrendering another part of my programming, and I'm feeling really vulnerable. I'm feeling really sensitive, really even insecure, a little scared, nervous. It was like I was a newborn child and everything hurt a little bit. Like, that's how it felt, and I'm sitting on the couch and like, I start going into victim mentality and lack mentality, because I'm like, I can feel Danny when he's going into distortions, or when he's insecure, or when he feels really vulnerable, really sensitive. I can feel that. And I'm in my head and I'm like, why doesn't he say something about how I'm feeling? I know that I can feel him, so I know that he can feel me. Like, how does he not notice? Why isn't he saying anything? Sitting there in my head, going into really negative emotions and nostalgia, wanting him to help me, to love me, to see me, to acknowledge how I'm feeling. Meanwhile, I'm not saying a fucking word to him about what I'm feeling. So what was that? That was another test of me to surrender, yet again, my attachment to like being heard, my attachment to my vulnerability being unheard. That's one of my wounds, for some of you that don't know. That's a soft spot for me. When I was younger, I was vulnerable and it went very unheard. I wasn't seen, I wasn't heard, I wasn't felt, wasn't acknowledged. So that's one of my wounds playing out again. That's the ego's attachment to my vulnerability unheard playing out again. And I'm just like suffering, you guys. I'm sitting on the couch and I'm just like suffering inside. And I'm throwing all of this energy because of my attachment to being unheard when I'm vulnerable. I'm projecting all of this energy onto Danny. Why aren't you saying anything? Why aren't you helping me? Why aren't you making me feel better? Why aren't you acknowledging how I'm feeling? Why aren't you acknowledging my vulnerability? Why aren't you acknowledging my pain? Right? I'm throwing all this fucking energy at him, and he doesn't even know what's going on. You know what I mean? And so in that moment, I caught myself and I was like, I flipped it around because I noticed that it was all about Danny. It was all his fault. He wasn't showing up. I wanted to blame him for not being able to feel me and making me feel better. Right? And I acknowledged, I was like, oh, I'm way in victim mentality and throwing all this shit onto Danny. So I flipped it back to myself and I was like, what is it that I need right now? What is it that I'm wanting? Wanting so much that I'm sending shit towards Danny for not giving it to me. And I hadn't even asked him for it. And as soon as I asked myself that question, you guys, it was my way of detaching from the ego, because the ego wanted to attack Danny. It was Danny's fault. I'm the victim. I'm being unheard. I'm not being seen. I'm not being felt. I'm not being loved. Bye, ego. Fuck you. Right? And I step back into presence, being present, surrendering all of my thoughts, all of my judgments, all of my perceptions, surrendering the emotions. And I was like, okay, what is it that I'm wanting? What is it that I'm needing? And remember, how does an attachment show up? Seeking, 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 seeking. Right? I was seeking all these things from Danny. I said, okay, I see you, attachment. I feel my projection of energy onto Danny. What is it that I need? And in that moment of just asking that question, in that moment of surrender, in that moment of flow and accepting myself, then it was really beautiful how it happened. Just in that moment of surrendering my ego and just stepping into presence and flow, we ended up going in the bedroom, and I still hadn't asked him, told him what was going on with me. I ended up telling him in the bedroom, like, I am feeling really vulnerable and like really sensitive, and like I'm really having a hard time of fighting my ego right now, trying to surrender, you know. And then something like really beautiful happened. Like Danny just kind of, because I surrendered my attachment, because I noticed my projection, he ended up seeing me. He ended up touching me, holding me, kissing me, acknowledging me, loving on me. Like it was, I can't go into the details here, but oh my God, it was the most beautiful fucking experience I've ever had in my life. Let's just say that. And like, it could have went the other way, you guys. I could have let the ego control me. I could have let my projection and just my projection repel exactly what it was that I really wanted. Because that's the thing, when you're in that attachment and you're projecting that attachment energy, you're repelling the exact thing that you're actually wanting. So by surrendering it, you allow it to come to you, right? So yeah, that was just a little example. So what I like to remind myself is if I'm going into nostalgia about my twin, and he's literally sitting right in front of me and I'm going into nostalgia, lack mentality, victim mentality, ridiculous, crazy, the ego's crazy. And like, when I notice I'm going into nostalgia about my twin, then that's usually my cue that I'm going into victim mentality. That's my cue that I'm going into lack mentality again. And then I can choose to surrender those energies. It's my cue that I'm going into separation energy again, right? That's the thing. Y'all understand that word. Y'all don't really understand completely lack mentality and victim mentality. Some of you do. But y'all all understand the separation energy, right? So again, let's go back. Let's backpedal a little bit. when you're at that pivotal moment in your journey where you're really surrendering the attachment to your twin, what happens is the breakdown before the breakthrough, that separation energy, that attachment to the stories in your head, that attachment to the perception of separation, the attachment to the negative emotional patterns of separation, it's all going to show itself again. And you have to consciously choose to surrender it or continue to keep diving into that separation energy, which keeps the separation in play. If you don't stoop to those emotions, if you don't stoop to those perceptions, if you don't speak into existence, I'm in separation from my twin, then you're going to eventually stop giving your life force energy to that energy and creating it. So basically what I'm saying is you get to a point in your journey where you really have to surrender that attachment. And what it takes to surrender the push and pull, what it takes to surrender the runner and chaser phase, what it takes to surrender the separation energy is by completely detaching from that energy. You can't go and play there, you guys. Twin flames. You can't call in your union and play in separation energy. It just doesn't work that way. It's never going to work that way. If you're feeding ideas of separation, if you're feeding nostalgia, if you're going into feeling separated from your twin, you are the reason, you are the only thing keeping that separation experience alive. Which I know is difficult to swallow. I get it. But when you can at least identify what an attachment looks like, then you can stop yourself. Then you can identify the ego and it doesn't have control over you and you're not unconsciously giving your power away, right? And if you have those cues that you're going into separation energy, then you can remind yourself, oh, I'm seeking, I'm trying, I'm projecting, I'm attaching, I'm going into, making and creating stories about something that I don't even know if it's true. If you can recognize the separation energy and remember that separation does not exist besides in the story in your head, then you completely wipe the experience of separation from existence in your reality. So if you're experiencing separation, you're experiencing no communication, what are you attached to that's keeping that experience alive? Okay? Yeah. I'm gonna take a break for a second and see what's up in the chat. What's up, Aaron? What's up, love? So I didn't even get to an eighth of the things that I want to talk about, that Spirit wants to talk about when it comes to fucking attachments, okay? I didn't even get to this. But, Spirit flows through, so maybe this is just the foundation. This is what you need to know first. And then I'll get into the deep shit, because this is some deep shit right here. But yeah, really sit with this information, you guys. Really ask Spirit. Like I said, this was an eighth of the information and downloads that I've received about attachment. It goes so much deeper, you guys. Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. But how I have this awareness and where I'm getting these downloads from is by simply asking the question. I asked my consciousness, Spirit, what the fuck is an attachment? What even is an attachment? How can you identify an attachment? How does an attachment show up in the 3D? What does it look like? What does it feel like? These are the questions that I asked, But really sit with this. And even if it's as small as bringing into your consciousness, Spirit, I want to be able to recognize my attachments. Spirit, show me my attachments. Show me my projections. And there is something else I want to add about projection energy. When we have all these judgments and these ideas and these nostalgic emotions. That's what we're projecting onto our twin. So going back to the separation thing, that pivotal moment where it's like, do you want to be right or do you want to be in love? Do you want to surrender or do you want to let the ego continue to create this separation energy? If you surrender the ego, if you surrender all the ideas about your connection with your twin, if you surrender going into separation, surrender going into nostalgia, then your twin will come to you. But if you go into the separation energy, that's what you're projecting onto them. So how are they going to come into union with you if you are putting off the energy of separation? I am separated from my twin. My twin and I aren't together. My twin is with a karmic. My twin is with other women. My twin is doing this. My twin is doing that. If that's the energy that you're projecting onto them, you're literally repelling them away, right? Runner chaser, push and pull. It's all the same shit, and it's all comes down to an attachment and not being willing to surrender the ego, right? Gosh, I just want to keep going and going and going and going and going. There's so fucking much. So if you're projecting with conscious awareness, you begin to release the push and pull because you're not projecting onto someone. You're standing in your truth, and that radiates out. That projects outward, right? And as the journey continues with attachments and projections, you can get to a part where you begin to release the push and pull of projecting, and you begin to release the runner chaser of projection, and you exist in a state of flow and surrender, where you're no longer projecting or controlling, but being in a state of sovereign integrity. That's a really powerful message, okay? And what's up, Danuch? Oh, you missed all the good stuff, man. Where you been? So, let me see. So, as the journey of attachment and projections evolves, right? As you become more conscious and aware of your attachments, as you become more conscious and aware of your projections, the journey evolves to the point where you can be in a state of sovereign integrity. And when you can be in integrity, you'll start to notice people changing around you from the natural projection of your own internal shift. So that's a little bit deep for you guys. I know that one's a little bit deep, but oh my God, there's so much good in that if you can allow yourself to receive the energy that's coming through. Because yes, I'm communicating in words, but baby, there is so much energy behind the shit that I'm saying. There are so many light codes, motherfucking. Oh, okay. So like, just like allow yourself to like receive some of this if you would like to, right? But as the journey of attachment and projection evolves, then you get to really witness your projection, not from a state of control, but a state of flow and surrender and being very fucking present. You get to really observe and witness how people in your life change, how the circumstances in your life change, how your twin's behavior towards you changes because of the reflection of the internal shift that has happened within you, right? So if we're projecting from a place of lack or control, we're repelling, right? And it's not gonna work, you guys. So it's so simple, but it's so complex at the same time. Welcome to life. Welcome to the game of life, right? So, like, I'm gonna give you something really simple, a technique, okay? I start talking about techniques when the nooch comes in here. Okay, come on, connection. So, like, a technique for really starting to witness your own energy, a technique for really starting to observe your energy and the way it influences your reality is just like if you have a dog or a freaking a friend, or it doesn't really matter, a dog, a cat, a friend, your twin flame, someone that's in your reality, though. They have to be in your physical reality to kind of really play with this technique I'm about to give you. So it was really simple the way Spirit brought it to me, the way that I started to recognize when I was projecting my energy. And if you've ever seen, damn, I don't remember the name of the movie, but it was a conscious movie where, like, in the movie, you could see people's energy and you could see how their energy would project onto other people. Let's say a guy and a girl are talking and the girl's very just like receptive and neutral, and the guy is reaching, attaching, going for like an expectation, trying to like flirt with her, trying to manipulate her, trying to influence her to be into him, right? And you can just see his energy going around her and like suffocating her almost, right? And like, think of yourself that way. Just like when I let the dog out outside. Some nights it would be freezing cold outside, so I'd like watch her through the window, right? She'd be outside using the bathroom and I would watch her. My hands cupped on the window, and I would watch her and I'd be like, you know, hurry up and go pee. Hurry up and go potty. You know, it's cold, so I can let you in. Or I have to pause the movie to go let you out. So, you know, I'm just looking at my dog through the window. This is the dialogue in my head, right? I had to pause the movie to let you out. So, like, can you hurry up, Ella, and use the bathroom so that I can let you in and I can go back to watching my movie? And I'm projecting this energy. I'm pushing, right? You can imagine, like I said with the movie, my energy's going out into her and I'm projecting onto her like, hurry up. Hurry up and use the bathroom. Let's go. I'm manipulating her. I know some of y'all don't like that word, but like, it is what it is. You know what I'm saying? And like, I'm noticing that I can feel myself projecting onto her, right? And here's the thing. When you are projecting from lack mentality, when you are projecting from a means of control, a means of manipulating, influencing someone, when you're projecting from a state of messing with someone's free will, yeah, good fucking luck with that. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to work. And the more that I projected, the more that I rushed her to use the bathroom, the longer she took. She took her sweet time peeing, but like using the bathroom. But like, that's just an example of something really simple that you can, a technique that you can really implement right now. All you have to do to gain the awareness is just ask the question. That's it. Activate the consciousness that's within you. You want to learn about attachments and projecting? Start asking questions to your consciousness about attachments and projecting. I'm telling you, it'll blow your mind how crazy it is. Because a lot of us, when we have a question about consciousness, about the reality, about the twin flame journey, the first thing that we do is go to someone that's maybe been doing the work a little bit longer and we ask them, right? Because they have the experience. But what I've learned is I don't need to go to my mentors, Sandra and Alan, Twin Flame Divine Fire in the chat. I don't have to physically reach out to them to ask them a question and them answer. Just like last night, connection is so powerful, you guys, but you miss out on how beautiful connection is when you are operating from distortion. Because if you're operating from distortion, you're what? In a lack of presence. And if you're in a lack of presence and operating from a distortion, most of the time you're going to repel the opportunities and the people and the frequency, because that distortion is an inorganic variation of vibration to your core frequency, right? So it repels those opportunities. It repels those levels of consciousness when you're in a distortion. But what I've noticed is the more that I'm present, the more that I'm consciously interacting with my own consciousness, I don't have to physically reach out to people. I can just ask my consciousness a question and either they'll give it to me through meditation through an experience, or one of my beautiful fucking, soul families will show up in a video and start talking about the thing that I asked my consciousness. No bullshit. Well, yesterday I asked my consciousness, because I'm in a weird place right now, because I'm like, I know that I am sovereign and can't shit fucking get to me when I am in my full integrity, but I also know that there are inorganic frequencies and energies and entities that try to influence me, right? So I'm in this weird state of like, do I need protection or am I the protection, right? I've been playing with that a little bit. And yesterday I asked my consciousness, I said, Spirit, like, how do I protect myself from these lower vibrational entities and energies? And then, what do you know? The nooch gets on and does a video, an entire fucking video, explaining it all in detail, giving me straight up download from source, pure as fuck information. And he's just like, boop, here you go. Oh, you asked a question? Here you go. I got you. And it was just so fucking beautiful. But that's how you can recognize that you're in a state of flow, of presence, of receiving. I am connected to an openness to receive. I say that shit every fucking day, y'all. I'm connected to an openness to receive, because the universe will blow your mind if you just connect and keep certain energies in play and denounce certain energies, certain distortions that are not, right? Whew, fucking hot in here. Do we want to continue? Do you guys have any questions at all when it comes to attachments and projections? And I want to reiterate one more time, because Spirit wants y'all to know this shit. How does an attachment show up? What does it look like? What does it feel like? How does it present itself in the 3D? Whenever you start talking about fixing, trying, pushing, influencing, manipulating, I'm trying to fix, I'm trying to do this, I want them to show up this way, I miss my twin, I'm in nostalgia about my twin, I'm in lack mentality, I don't have, I wish I had. When you start going into all of that, boom, that is your sign that you're going into a detachment. You're going into codependency. You're going into a distortion, right? So those are the cues. You start missing your twin, right? And you know you've been doing all this healing work. You know that you're stepping into your sovereignty, into your integrity. You know you've done all this healing shit. And remember, Brooke said, when I do the internal healing, there's still some 3D masculine work that needs to take place first. I got to reprogram and tame my ego because of the debris from the wounds, right? But just begin to recognize those energies and say no, you guys. It's a very life-changing key to this journey, is learning to say no. Fuck you, energy. Fuck you, Danny. I love you, but I ain't going into that energy. I'm not accepting that projection that you're putting onto me. And like, boom, there goes your light. And like, that projection goes away. It can't be housed in the same space. They don't fit together. You know what I mean? Oh, man. All right, let me see what y'all are saying. Just so you know. Awesome, David. Opinion on power struggle. If you're experiencing a power struggle, it's coming from an attachment. Hands down. Like, it's coming from your inability to let go of control, your inability to validate self without external validations, confirming your inner truth, confirming your integrity. If you're feeling that push and pull, somebody's out of their power. Somebody's giving their power away. If you're experiencing the runner chaser, somebody's giving their power away. You know what I mean? Either someone's projecting and the other twin is accepting that projection as truth for them and they're going into the distortion. You know what I mean? Let me see if I got anything else for that. Opinion on power struggle, like that whole push and pull power struggle dynamic really comes down to not being secure enough in your own sovereignty, not really standing in your truth, because if you're standing in your truth, you don't need to push or pull or prove, or you don't need to be right. You know what I mean? You don't need to prove your point. You don't need validation. When you're standing in your truth and your authenticity, it just is what it is, baby. You know what I mean? And like, that's the thing with us twins. We want our twin to validate us so bad. We want our twin to accept us so bad that we're willing to lower our frequency, give our power away, rather than maintaining our integrity and allowing them to meet us where we are, you know? But yeah, that's what I got for the power struggle Palladian vibes. Thank you for asking. Man, I gotta tell y'all something. God. I'm gonna share this just because I know I got some powerful ass fucking beings in the chat right now to keep this space lit as fuck. But man, you guys, there's such a deeper reason why I'm sharing these messages tonight. And it's just because if we don't become aware of our attachments, they can destroy everything. They can destroy the people that we love. They can invite in energies and entities that can influence especially if you're in a relationship, the people that you're close to. If you have attachments, or if the person that you're with has attachments, man, those attachments are point of entry for lower vibrational entities and energies. And if you're not consciously declaring your power or just being in flow and surrender, and like, also don't forget, commanding energies out, go fuck yourself, and invoking certain energies into play, activating certain energies within your consciousness, like the destruction that can happen from that, like these beings, these lower vibrational entities that don't exist besides in the story in your head. I'm going to continue to say that this separation energy, this distortion energy, these nostalgic feelings, these victim mentality templates, lack mentality templates, they don't exist besides in the story in your head. They do not exist besides from the power that we give them, the life force energy that we give to them to keep these things alive, that life force energy that we give to them, and then they show up in our reality. It's reflected back to us through our reality, through the people that we're connected to, right? And if you're not aware of your attachments, if you don't know your own energy, it's so fucking easy, you guys, for these energies to come in and drop thoughts in your head, to influence your mental body, to influence your emotional body, to influence your behavior even. And what I want to share, like I've witnessed this within the dynamic with me and my twin. There have been moments where I'm standing in my power, and let's say he's going into some of his distortion energies. And let's say that he's He's not looking and observing his distortion. He's going into it. There's a difference. You look at distortions. You don't stare. Okay? Look, don't stare. So there have been some moments where he was staring. He was in his distortion. He was in a lack of presence. And these energies and entities, to get to me, when I'm in my power, they'll go through and influence Danny to say certain things, to try to trigger my ego, to try to cause fights between me and Danny. And if you're not aware of your own energy, and if you're not fully present, that's the key. If you're not fully present in those moments, it's so easy for those energies and those entities to come in and feed off of your energy when you're arguing or whatever. But like, there have been moments, you guys, with my twin where like, I'm so present and in my power that I see that who's talking to me isn't fucking Danny. It's not Danny. The shit that's coming out of his mouth and the energy that I'm feeling up from him is not fucking Danny. And like, there have been moments where like, I don't know if maybe I could have shown up differently, but there have been moments where like, I acknowledge that it was some inorganic frequency puppeting my fucking twin, and like, I went full-blown masculine, and I was like, fuck you. You are not Danny. But we have to be careful with that because, you know, Danny doesn't know maybe sometimes. And the same thing with me. I'm just using Danny as an example. This happens with everyone, right? I don't know. But like, you know, in the moment, Danny doesn't know that I'm seeing a lower vibrational, feeling a lower vibrational entity influencing him. So sometimes it can come off really personal when like I'm not attacking, but like I'm basically going into my masculine and straight up denouncing that energy that's coming through, and that projection, right? He's projecting that lower vibrational entity's energy onto me. And I acknowledge the lower vibrational energy. It doesn't get to come play on my space. And when I step into my masculine and I say, go fuck yourself, it's like he's projecting onto me, right? This lower vibrational energy projecting onto me. And then when I say no, when I say go fuck yourself, it's like boom, this light energy of mine. It just, there's no penetrating that space. And like, sometimes it's pretty crazy, you guys, because we all have like our attachment in some ways, and we all have to go through lower vibrational energy to learn how to master this reality of duality, right? And sometimes when I'm feeling that projection of lower vibrational entities influencing Danny, and I go boom, and I don't accept that energy, it gets smacked off of my energy back onto Danny, and like, Danny's got to choose what to do with that. And I can't try to remember, try is an attachment. I can't try to save him from that. He has to go within himself and declare his own sovereignty over the bullshit thoughts that they are chopping in his head. He has to declare his sovereignty over the emotions that they're triggering, the ideas that they're triggering, the behavior that they're triggering, and even to the point of like, they can trigger like sickness even in the body. They can make you feel drained. They can make you feel, you know, nauseous, right? They can trigger these things in the body. And if we accept it as us, if we accept that energy, they're just like eating dinner over here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Oh shit. Massive clouds. How about when you have you heard my call today? Good, Elizabeth, good. So the new tree, talk about me and Danny. Chris Geo's recent video. Oh yeah, David. This Chris Geo's video is so good, dude. Sorry, I just wanted to play a little bit. But yeah, man, like attachments can destroy everything in their path if you don't acknowledge them. But if you acknowledge the energy, ooh. So the turmoil that's coming to mind, man, it's got to be the releasing of attachments. Like there's a reason I'm showing up talking about this shit, because like I was in addiction grids for a hot minute, bro, and like the attachment and the energies and the entities that feed off of the addiction grids and that codependent energy, you know, it's taking a lot to get out of that. But also now Danny's kind of doing that dive where he's looking at his attachments, and man, there have been moments where like I had to detach from Danny's energy because it was the projection, man. It was suffocating me. It was sending me into turmoil. It was the thoughts that were going on in my head, the lack mentality and the victim mentality and carrying. So Danny made a really good point the other day, because I was telling him how I had an attachment to him and how spirit was training me to let go of that attachment, that needing to save, needing to fix, you know, needing to protect. I'm a masculine, wanna protect, right? And like I just had this attachment to giving my power away, man. Like letting go of my own sovereignty to meet someone in a lower frequency, because I felt like I felt guilty or shameful for not helping him, right? Ego will fucking get you, man. I'm telling you, the ego will get you. Those entities will get you if you don't acknowledge the attachment. But like I had this attachment to like wanting to help, needing to help and protect him. And like Danny said something that was really beautiful to me. I finally opened up with him and I was like, you know, Spirit's been training me to release my attachment to like saving you, helping you, and taking on your energy. And yet again, even through all this training, boom, I was right back in it. I was taking on his energy. I was holding him up. We were doing the push and pull. I was pulling. He was pushing, you know, because he's trying to go into his shit and I'm just trying to hold my energy. And there was this push and pull and chasing and attaching. And it was just, that energy. And Danny made a really beautiful point to me when I opened up to him and I was like, I'm doing it again. I'm taking on your energy again. I'm trying to hold you up again. I'm lowering my frequency so that I can hold you rather than staying in my integrity. And that doesn't serve either one of us, right? But when I opened up to Danny about that, he said something really fucking beautiful to me. He was like, Brooke, if you are holding my energy up, if you know that I'm going into some inorganic frequencies that are within me so that I can clear them out, if I need to go lower and you continue to hold me up, that push and pull, right? He was trying